Alright, you know the deal. This is Console Crapshoot, where we spin a wheel to play a random video game on original hardware. Going into episode 85 here, I'm going to go on record and say that the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation 1 have gone really underrepresented so far. And that's going to continue. We've got the 3DO this week. Been getting a lot of that lately. It's already surpassed those aforementioned systems, and it's been on the wheel a third of the time. 157 games on the wheel. It's going to be the Daedalus encounter, starring Tia Carrere. Live-action, full-motion video is not my favorite genre, but this could be interesting. Let's see. We've really run the spectrum on the 3DO. First time we got it, we got our second highest-rated game we've ever played on the show, according to the tier list, only second to Super Mario 64. The second time we spun the 3DO, we got our worst episode ever. So it's probably safe to say that this game will be somewhere in the middle of those two. Tia Carrere had a decent career. She was pretty well known. This was kind of at her peak, and Tia Carrere was a legit babe.
She's a babe!
Still is, I would imagine. Mostly well known for Wayne's World and True Lies. But like I said, pretty popular at this time, so it's surprising that she took on this gig. I'm not knocking it at all, but it's awkward to be in a live-action video game. We've talked about this a little bit on the show before. It's kind of near impossible to come off as a good performance when you're acting looking right at a camera, especially in a game like this. This game is, you can tell, it's all green screen. They got some outfits and like some desk chairs. They're acting based on the script and their imaginations and what the directors are telling them what's happening. And that is really hard to do. I think if you give one of these scripts and stick Daniel Day-Lewis in one of these games, he's gonna look terrible. You're doing take after take, and sometimes you have to do takes of the same situation, but the player chose to do something else. So you're making different versions, different outcomes of the same scene. That's not really conducive to how actors attack roles. But with all that said, I have to say, Tia Carrere kind of nailed this.
Ooh.
She's not someone who I would consider, who springs to mind as a great actress, but she comes off as really natural in this. She's actually selling it. There are some scenes where it looks awkward, even she looks awkward and bad, but you can see the difference because the other actor in the thing, no offense to him, but doesn't come off as natural.
Let's do some hunting.
Tia Carrere in this is actually believable. She seems at ease and funny. The dialogue is not great, but she's kind of knocking it out of the park, I have to say, considering game opens up and you play the third member of their team and you are injured. Your injury basically makes you a brain in a jar. Your friends take your brain and they have you put in a machine and then they wake you up. It's like a scene that's very reminiscent of RoboCop. And then it's kind of weird. They just put you in this thing and then they have you do their menial, stupid tasks for them. It's like not even stuff that they can't do. The game sells it as these three were like really tight together. They were a team. You figure they would like want to delve into the traumatizing part of this for you, but they just kind of stick you into this whole machine thing, and the guy on your team kind of treats you like crap sometimes. It's like they just turned you into their R2-D2, but you were like their best friend before this happened. This isn't the worst FMV game I've ever played. This game does a little bit better of a job in guiding. It's still, frustrating and kind of random, but you have a list of commands that you can possibly do with your guy. There's a lot of little puzzles. Some of the puzzles are actually pretty intriguing, pretty fun to figure out. Some of them I stared at for 30 minutes and couldn't figure out what it was trying to get me to do. You're trapped on this ship, and there's certain sections of the ship that are different discs. So, if you go in the normal fashion the game wants you to go in, you're going to go to disc 2, disc 3, disc 4. But by the time you get to the end of the game, if there are parts you missed, you will have to, go to the door that you didn't collect the thing you were supposed to collect, and then you have to change the disc. It's constantly changing the discs. Really, really frustrating. I think it would have made a lot more sense if, you had all the scenes, the story scenes happen in all those discs, but on the final disc, you should have all the puzzles and stuff all on that final disc, so that way you can go back. But other than that, you meet this alien queen, you make a new friend, and you survived, and everything's great, and you're still trapped in a fishbowl. Would have been a lot more satisfying an ending, I think, if these aliens had some kind of magical, Deus Machina way, restore you to your body or something. I think that would have been a lot more fulfilling an ending. Why not, right? It's sci-fi. But no, you're going to continue on being, these guys' pet trash can that keeps saving their life. It's kind of sad. But okay, let's give a rating to the Daedalus encounter for the Panasonic 3DO, starring Tia Carrere. Yeah, it's not that bad. The story is interesting enough for you to want to kind of see what happens next. The puzzles are really frustrating. Some of them are just straight up bad. And a lot lot of it is just watching the game play out. You don't have a lot to do watching scenes play out. It's less of a game. I think of it as interactive software. And I know that's what a game is, but the moniker interactive software feels more fitting here. At the time, I think I would have gave this a 3 out of 5. This kind of game was a new, exciting novelty of a thing, but we're playing it now, and the novelty doesn't really hold up. It's also way better than a lot of the FMV games we've played, and those have all, I think, pretty much been ones, with the exception of Lunacy, which was not live action, and it was just really weird. But it's imaginative and an interesting piece of software. I'm gonna give this a 2 out of 5 for kinda bad, and I'm thinking high in the 2 out of 5 range. At first glance, it's kind of a really, cheesy, throwaway relic of its time, but it's got personality, it's interesting, it's creative, and I'll say it again, this game convinced me. Tia Carrere is a good actress. You'd have to be decent to pull this off. Anyone can come out looking good in like a Christopher Nolan movie. If you can come out decent in something like this, then, that's a lot more of a challenge. And the 3DO has really been all over the place for us, hasn't it, so far? Definitely interesting results to date. So glad we added it to the wheel. I doubt we're going to be able to say the same for the CDI, but we'll see. Let's see if we find out next week. Hope you'll be there, and we'll see you then.